Hello friends, China remains a hotly contested issue in major European capitals, primarily because of the intense focus of the United States on the country. Today we are going to explain as to what and how these divisions manifest themselves in the daily discourse that we hear in the European media, and as to how the French think a little differently from many other countries. After a 6-hour-long meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping in April this year, the French President Emmanuel Macron said things which many European leaders probably did not like, and these views basically became a benchmark synonymous with the divisions within the European countries as to how to deal with China, which the United States describes as an ascendant challenge to the United States. On his return to Paris, Emmanuel Macron advised his European counterparts to reduce dependency on the United States and avoid getting dragged into a confrontation between China and the United States, particularly over Taiwan. Why did Macron say so? Because he seems to be conscious of the risks in taking sides in external wars. The great risk Europe faces is that it gets caught up in crises that are not ours, which prevents Europe from building the strategic autonomy. The question Europeans need to answer: is it in our interest to accelerate a crisis on Taiwan? No. This is what the French president said. No. The worst thing would be to think that we Europeans must become followers on this topic and take our cue from the United States agenda and a Chinese overreaction, a possible Chinese overreaction to what the United States does on the issue of Taiwan. Macron said that the paradox would be that, overcome with panic, we believe we are just America's followers. This he said in multiple interviews, including the one with the magazine Politico. Macron and Xi discussed Taiwan intensely, according to French officials who were present in the meeting. And Macron appears to have taken also his cue from the president, who was not really excited about the situation surrounding Taiwan, as at that time he thought had been created by the United States. Now, Beijing claims Taiwan as its integral part and expects other major countries to recognize it as part of one China. That is why President Xi Jinping and other Communist Party leaders enthusiastically endorsed the French president's concept of strategic autonomy. This is what the French president keeps underlining: the strategic autonomy that Europe must embrace. He also went on to say in one of the interviews, if the tensions between the two superpowers heat up, we won't have the time nor the resources to finance our strategic autonomy, and we will become vassals. Macron said, probably taking cue from President Xi, who reportedly dismissed external influence as far as Taiwan is concerned, as far as China's position on Taiwan is concerned. Macron also highlighted the limitations of major European countries as far as geopolitically driven conflicts are concerned. He said, Europeans cannot resolve the crises in Ukraine. How can we credibly say on Taiwan, watch out, if you do something wrong, we will be there. If you really want to increase tensions, that is the way to do it. Now, by saying this, Macron sounds more pragmatic than many of his European colleagues, some of whom appear to be too given to the US policies on issues such as Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia, and China. The ultimate sufferer of such belligerent policies, that is how the journal The Populist Perception runs, are Europeans at large who continue to bear the brunt of the Ukraine crisis in the form of heightened tensions as well as inflationary cycle in which most of the people are caught up. Now what upsets Macron is Europe's increased dependency on the US for weapons and energy. He believes the continent must now focus on boosting European defense industries and reduce its dependence on the extraterritoriality of the US dollar. Some politicians and analysts in Europe already complain about weaponization of the dollar by Washington, which forces European companies to give up businesses and cut ties with third countries or face crippling sanctions. Russia, China, Iran, and some other countries have been hit by the US sanctions in recent years. Their objective is to deny them access to the dominant dollar-denominated global financial system. Analyst Yan Maishi, a geopolitics expert at Gavekol Dragonomics, also resonates the French president's thoughts. He says Europe is more willing to accept a world in which China becomes a regional hegemon. Some of its leaders even believe such a world order may be even more advantageous to Europe. It is perhaps a matter of time before the French President Macron's call for strategic autonomy, that is, European strategy independent of the US influence, finds some resonance among major European countries.